Hi there. I've launched a Climate Babe competition to get things going a little bit with the Climate Babe website. So you can follow the link below and enter a picture of you with a banner about Save the Oceans, because the oceans are having some attention this week in Rio, and it's a very serious issue. I thought it's interesting to point out that the battle is slowly becoming not that between the banks and the people, but I think between sections of society, let's say, amongst themselves. And it's most clear in Holland, where, or I guess everywhere you will have that, where you will have the people that are very rich, have proper jobs, huge income sometimes, and they are voting, let's say, liberal, right-wing, pro-carbon, and the people that are working class, that are basically assigned to the gulag if you listen to Max Keiser. And at the moment, Max Keiser is challenging the people that might be working class to get their silver in order to prepare for a collapse of the banking system. I'm personally not basically in line with the idea that that's the best solution eventually, but it is an intermediary stage in which you will have, let's say, no fiat currency because the carbon has run out or the access to it has been cut off. And but you need to do labor, and you have to divide the labor, and you need silver to do that. So then, if you are the people and you have your own coins, then you are powerful, and you can operate. You can organize your society. It's basically an organizational tool that you can use. And of course, in a huge crisis, you can always pay off people, maybe, but you might also simply be robbed. So that there's no real security in owning anything. There's only real security in real security, basically. But I think it gets more interesting when you say, well, there's simply the people that are now wealthy that will also end up in a situation where the money is worthless and will then have to fend for themselves. And they will also want to have access to gold and silver in order to be able to have a tradable position, in order to have some kind of leverage. Which means that the more, but that's of course a small group. So the majority of the people, the 80% of the people or 90% of the people that are not very wealthy, if they buy a small amount of silver or gold, then they will buy everything. They will buy all the silver and gold that's available. And that will mean that you basically don't give any opportunity to the people that are now wealthy to be wealthy. Because they will not be wealthy if they will not be in control of any resources through money, because the money will have hyperinflated and there's no supply of stuff anyway because the carbon is run out. But they also won't have any real tradable means of exchange like gold and silver, which always is capable of trading for some labor, because it simply persists, just like people that can work persist. It cannot be controlled, all the advantages of precious metal currencies. So in my opinion, the battle that you have to stoke, or could stoke, and that is real, that is basically a very fair thing to say, is the battle between the poor owner of gold and silver, or the relatively poor owner of gold and silver, and the rich one. So Max Keiser is a primary example of somebody that has a lot of silver and gold, really probably millions. You know, he's earning money with his TV show, so he must not really kind of eat into that reserve. So he would be, so in the case of a economic collapse, and maybe there's no authority or whatever, and he's able to keep his silver and gold, which he keeps in Switzerland, I believe. But of course that's undisclosed, and I think that's smart. He'll be one of the wealthy people, because he can always give silver to somebody to get them to do something for him, and the people that receive it will accept that, because it's in a chaos situation, it's a fair means of exchange. So in that doom scenario, in that scenario of economic collapse, where lots of things are done with manual and physical labor, which is a sad scenario, I'm not in favor of it, but you know, get your renewable energy and you avoid it. But in that scenario, the people that are rich, that now buy lots of gold and silver, will be rich. And the people that are now poor, that buy lots of of gold and silver will also be rich, or will be relatively more prosperous than the people that don't. So I'd say to the people that have a lot of money to spend or to save, that if they buy precious metals, then and they're rich, so it doesn't even impact them significantly to do that in their daily lifestyle, then they certainly should do that. It's simply making sure that in the future the relationships will be equal as they are right now, and that means that you are avoiding any severe lifestyle change, which is something that the banking system is very hard and very busy with achieving with many people in the US, because many people are getting homeless, thrown out of their houses, all that stuff. That's all happening in the US. That's lifestyle change. That's a difficult distortion of your life. Your children cannot go to university. It's destructive. It's unnecessary. It's simply done in order to keep their system going. Their system that can no longer support the whole US society, that basically wants to bring it to an equal standard as the Chinese society. And it's unnecessary because you have renewable energy that can provide you with all the wealth that you need, and there's abundant space and sun in the US to do that. So it's simply a stupid scenario of an oppressive banking system. You don't need that, and so I think if you're rich and you kind of are apprehensive about any crisis, then you have to remember that if the poor if the less capital, let's say the less powerful people, do buy a bit of silver and do get the message that you will be empty-handed. There will be no silver for you. And the COMEX, of course, is not a way to buy silver. It's only physical that you can touch. And then you can always see whether it will get confiscated by your government, or there's nothing to buy with it, which I think is the problem, because the fundamental economic parameter that you have to watch is your fuel supply, and if that is stopping because you can no longer deliver anything back for that fuel supply, then you're fucked until you wake up to the potential of the sun, of renewables. It's really about reorienting to the primary source of energy that our planet has, and once you do that, it's almost like getting out of getting cured from a bad heroin addiction or crack addiction, if that's possible. There's something that I realized about that. Heroin addiction is so fundamental to your person. It's an addiction it's basically a type of social binding that you're addicted to when you get heroin, and that's why I think there will be never a cure for heroin addiction, because once you find that cure of heroin addiction, you can so fundamentally alter people's behavior at will that there will be no, let's say, after a while, there will be no structure to human behavior anymore, because basically you are attached to some goal, to your family, to your friends. That's the same type of feeling that you have when you have a heroin addiction. And if you cure people from that, you can basically take them out of every context you like and put them somewhere else, and they will not remember it and don't care about it. I think that's a pretty dangerous thing to be able to do. But anyway, thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it.